The year is 1917. Across the Atlantic, a war rages, consuming Europe in a fiery dance of destruction. On April 6, 1917, the United States declared war on Germany, ending its policy of neutrality and stepping onto the world stage as a major military power. This pivotal decision sent shockwaves through American society, forever altering the fabric of daily life and propelling the nation into a new era. The declaration of war ignited a surge of patriotism across the country. Men rushed to enlist, eager to do their part for their nation. From bustling cities to quiet rural towns, Americans united behind a common cause, their collective spirit ignited by the fires of war. The war effort demanded unprecedented sacrifice and mobilization, calling upon Americans from all walks of life to contribute to the cause. The war years were a time of both progress and turmoil, a period of profound change that would forever shape the destiny of the United States. With millions of men away fighting in Europe, American women rose to the challenge, taking on new roles and responsibilities on the home front. They became the backbone of the war effort, filling factories, shipyards, and offices, their contributions essential to sustaining the nation's military might. The image of Rosie the Riveter, a strong and determined woman flexing her muscles in a factory, became an enduring symbol of female empowerment during World War I. Before the war, women's roles were largely confined to the domestic sphere. However, the demands of war shattered these traditional constraints, creating unprecedented opportunities for women to enter the workforce. Women worked as nurses, teachers, clerks, and telephone operators, keeping the home front running smoothly. They took on physically demanding jobs in factories, shipyards, and munitions plants, producing the weapons and supplies needed to support the troops overseas. The war effort provided women with not only economic opportunities but also a sense of purpose and empowerment. The war experience fostered a sense of independence and self-reliance among women, laying the groundwork for future advancements in women's rights and opportunities. World War I was a time of both progress and hardship for minorities in the United States. While the war effort created new opportunities for economic advancement and social mobility, it also exacerbated existing racial and ethnic tensions. African Americans in particular faced persistent discrimination and segregation, even as they answered the call to serve their country. Despite facing prejudice and limited opportunities at home, African Americans served with distinction in the armed forces during World War I. The war also witnessed a significant migration of African Americans from the rural South to the industrial cities of the North. This mass movement, known as the Great Migration, would have a profound impact on American society, transforming urban demographics and laying the groundwork for the civil rights movement of the 20th century. Other minority groups, such as Mexican Americans, Asian Americans, and Native Americans, also played important roles in the war effort. Section 4: From Fields to Factories, Industrial and Economic Transformation. The First World War brought about a period of rapid industrial and economic transformation in the United States. The nation's industries were mobilized to support the war effort, with factories switching production from consumer goods to military equipment and supplies. This massive industrial mobilization led to unprecedented economic growth, as factories churned out weapons, ammunition, uniforms, and other essential goods for the troops overseas. The war effort created a surge in demand for labor, drawing millions of Americans into industrial jobs. Factories expanded their operations, running around the clock to meet the insatiable demands of the military. The agricultural sector also underwent significant changes, as farmers increased production to feed the troops and support the Allied war effort. The economic boom fueled by the war effort led to a significant increase in the standard of living for many Americans. Section 5: Rationing, Propaganda, and Jazz, Daily Life in Wartime America. The First World War brought about significant changes to the daily lives of Americans. The government implemented rationing programs to conserve resources for the military, urging citizens to do their part by reducing their consumption of essential goods such as sugar, meat, and wheat. Americans were encouraged to plant victory gardens to supplement their rations and reduce the strain on the national food supply. Propaganda posters and advertisements became ubiquitous, urging Americans to support the war effort, buy war bonds, and report any suspected enemy activity. Despite the hardships of war, American culture continued to evolve and adapt. Jazz music, which had originated in New Orleans, gained nationwide popularity, its syncopated rhythms and improvisational style reflecting the energy and spirit of the times. The war also had a profound impact on fashion, as women's clothing became more practical and less restrictive, reflecting their changing roles in society. Section 6. The Great Migration and the Rise of Social Change. The First World War was a catalyst for significant social change in the United States. The war effort led to the mass movement of African Americans from the rural South to the industrial cities of the North, known as the Great Migration. This migration, driven by the promise of economic opportunity and escape from Jim Crow segregation, transformed the demographic landscape of American cities and laid the groundwork for the civil rights movement of the 20th century. The influx of African Americans into northern cities led to increased competition for jobs, housing, and other resources, exacerbating existing racial tensions. Race riots erupted in several cities, highlighting the deep-seated racial divisions that plagued American society. Despite the challenges they faced, African Americans found new opportunities for advancement in the North. The Harlem Renaissance, a flowering of African American art, literature, and music, emerged in New York City during the 1920s, showcasing the talents and creativity of black artists and intellectuals. The war also contributed to the growing movement for women's suffrage, culminating in the ratification of the 19th Amendment in 1920, granting women the right to vote nationwide. Section 7. A Nation Forged, the Enduring Legacy of WWO on American Society. The First World War left an enduring legacy on American society.